So, welcome everybody to this session on simultaneously searching Medline, PsycInfo, and Embase on the Ovid platform. So, the objective of this course is, or of this video, is to introduce you to the Ovid platform and introduce you to some functionalities that are really, really neat and practical and that can save you a lot of time and effort. My name is Christian Appenzeller-Herzog, and I am happy to introduce you to this cool platform named Ovid. We will start out with some basics in literature searching, but I should add that we will keep these basic slides on a very concise level. So the idea is actually that most of you who are visiting this advanced course have already learned about literature searching and about basics. So we are going to go very quickly through whatever Boolean operators and technical stuff like that. We will then turn to different databases. We will look at subject heading searches, so how to search with, for instance, mesh terms in Ovid Medline. We will also see how to search in the title abstract fields, and in this part number 4, I am also going to introduce to you the so-called ADJ operators. These are so-called proximity operators. We will learn how to build a search strategy out of these searches in section 3 and 4. This can be done in Ovid, or I'm actually also going to recommend you to do something like that, then also in a Microsoft Word file, for instance. We will learn about database limits and how to use them. So far, we are going to stay in Medline, but I will then teach you how to transfer a Medline search into another database that is available on the Ovid platform. And number 8, we will also learn how to simultaneously search different databases on the Ovid platform. These are so-called multi-database searches. And then in the end, this is a very short part, but I will just show you the few clicks that you need in order to export a set of results to literature management software. Okay, so we will have a search example that is going to accompany us through that video. And this is, does animal-assisted therapy improve psychomotor agitation in people with dementia? And like many research questions, this research question can be put into the PICO framework. PICO stands for Population, Intervention, Control, and Outcome. And maybe I will now just pause for whatever, 10, 15 seconds, and I will let you conceptually fill in that PICO framework for yourself, and we will go on afterwards. Okay, so I'm going to present you my solution to this task, and you can see in the table that I've already also added kind of text word synonyms to these concepts. So we have the concept of dementia. So dementia corresponds to the population that is to be treated with an intervention. The intervention is the animal-assisted therapy, could also be called animal-assisted intervention. And the outcome that is targeted with this intervention is the psychomotor agitation, or simply agitation. And synonyms thereof are restlessness, restlessness, hyperactivity. You could also say PET-facilitated therapy. Dementia, maybe the most popular form of dementia is Alzheimer. That is very, very prevalent. Senile forgetfulness is a synonym of dementia, and so on. So this table and this search example is going to accompany us. We will learn how to use the Boolean operators. We will mainly use the and the or. So and means that both search terms that are connected with this and must occur in a document. And the or means that at least one of these two search terms should occur. And the or is usually used for synonyms. So for instance, dementia or senile forgetfulness. And that will mean that you will retrieve more literature as is depicted here with this blue cartoon. And in the case of and, we would, for instance, connect concepts like animal-assisted therapy and dementia, and then we will get the literature where actually both of these concepts are contained within. And the not operator, this is just a general general recommendation that we give, is that please don't use it, or use it only in very exceptional cases, because not usually leads to unwanted exclusion. Okay, so combining the Boolean operators with the Pico aspects means that we will, in the end, actually look for this little red square literature where actually all of the Pico aspects that we use are contained within. So that means we would search for P and I and C and O. Now, in our case, the orange C has not been populated, you remember. So we have as P, we have dementia. As I, we have animal-assisted therapy. And as O, we have that psychomotor agitation. And a little bit more complex, also using brackets. We can also see where the Boolean operator or comes in. So the Boolean operator or we will use within these conceptual brackets to combine the different synonyms. Remember the table that I've shown you with some of these synonyms. Okay, so this is a very busy slide containing lots of information, but I usually say when you understand what is on this slide, you already understand very much about searching theory. Okay, databases on Ovid. So this is a slide that has been borrowed and adapted from another colleague of mine. And Ovid provides you access to Medline. This is what I said is going to be our database of choice for most of this talk. And Medline is actually very strong in clinical medicine and also in biomedicine. It's the main database in these subjects. Then also Embase is available via Ovid. And Embase is in clinical medicine, but then in pharmacy and pharmacology. So that's the #1 database for pharmaceutical compound searches and so on. And then PsycInfo. So these are just the 3 databases that we are going to use here during this session. And PsycInfo is not strong in the subjects categories that I've named before, but it's strong in psychology and psychiatry. So using different databases has a complementary effect, and this complementary effect is very frequently exploited in the case of systematic reviews. And having the Ovid platform providing access to multiple databases like those 3 makes it an ideal tool for such endeavors, such as a systematic review. Okay. So this you're going to see afterwards also live on the Ovid platform. It's just a screenshot there. And in this screenshot, you can see some, not all of them, because there is also a scroll bar over here on the right, but some of the databases where that the University of Basel provides via Ovid. Now, that, of course, changes if you're in another university. You might have different databases, but I've been talking about Embase. I've been talking about Medline. So there are different segments of Medline, but actually the only thing that interests us is Medline All, because Medline All has all the parts of Medline, and that's what we're going to use. And finally, there is APA PsycInfo. So those are these three databases that we're going to use. And with this, I turn to subject headings. So subject headings are by definition database specific. So Medline has its famous mesh terms that you probably have heard of. Embase does not use mesh terms, but Embase uses the so-called M-tree thesaurus, or the M-tree subject headings. And PsycInfo subject headings are called like this. Those are PsycInfo subject headings, etc., etc. Other databases will have other subject headings, and this is going to become important later on when we do multi-database searches. Now, for a very comprehensive search, searching with subject headings and searching with text words should actually be combined with Boolean ORs. And now here we have, again, our search topping. So we have the concept of dementia, the one of animal-assisted therapy, and the one of psychomotor agitation. And the aim in the end, in order to do a comprehensive search, is to search for dementia using subject headings and text words, combine these searches with an OR, and then add the other two concepts, each with a Boolean and. I'm sorry for this. Okay, so this slide actually represents the structure that we would like to achieve in the very end. Okay, the Unibus access to Ovid is via the University Medical Library website. So on this URL, you are going to find these icons here. There is support for literature searching and systematic reviews. These are the services that our team provides to you, might also be interesting for you. But now we're interested in electronic resources. So if you press on that link, you're going to end up here with electronic resources, and there you have links to article databases that are provided by the University of Basel and that are relevant in the subject of medicine. And you see we have here PubMed, and we have Medline via PubMed or Medline via Ovid. So Ovid is to be seen as a platform where Medline can be searched, that is in analogy to PubMed. So PubMed is also a platform where Medline can be searched. And I usually like to compare this to, for instance, internet search engines. So you can search the internet via Google, or you can search the internet via Ecosia, or via DuckDuckGo, or via Yahoo search, or whatever. So these are platforms to search a certain content. In this case, it's the Medline database. And by clicking on this Medline via Ovid, you get on the proprietary link to Ovid via that is available at the University of Basel. This link is only going to be active or functional if you are also within the IP range of the University of Basel. So that is to say, if you sit at your working place, or if you're connected via VPN from home, via your Unibus VPN. Okay. By the way, you can also see on this screenshot that the University of Basel also provides 2 accesses to Embase, and one of them is also via Ovid. So this is what we've talked about before. Yeah, so that's the University of Basel access link. And with this, I would actually like to switch over to the Ovid platform, and I would like to show you how to search for subject headings. We are still in the topic of subject heading searches, right? So when you use that link on the University Medical Library site, you always get to the German version of Ovid. But in the lower left corner, you can by one switch click switch that to English. Okay. So I am going to search for the subject heading dementia now. And since we are in the Ovid Medline All segment, you can see this here. One resource is selected, Ovid Medline All. These subject headings are going to be the mesh terms, right? So these are the subject headings of the Medline database. Now, what is important is that, and this is the default setting, that this box here is ticked. And this box here says map term to subject heading. And if I now search for dementia and I press search and I have that box ticked, this will lead me into the mesh catalog. So this is now the mesh catalog, and the mesh catalog tells me, yes, there is a subject heading or a mesh term that is called dementia. Okay. I have different options over here that I will talk about just in a second, but for now I will skip them. And I would like to press here continue. And if I press continue, oh no, actually I forgot something. I don't want to press continue yet. But first of all, I want to click on dementia in order to examine what subject heading this is, and mainly how the embedding of this subject heading is within the mesh catalog. And you can see that we start here with the main branch diseases, and then we go to nervous system diseases, central nervous system diseases, brain diseases, and so on. And then somewhere we go to dementia. So that's the embedding of the dementia mesh term. And you can see that dementia also harbors lower hierarchy terms. Okay. Now these lower hierarchy terms, they can become important to search them. But for now, we would just like to search for dementia as it is ticked here. And that site also already tells us that currently there are 66,197 hits that we are going to obtain with this dementia mesh terms. So we can click on continue. And here the subheadings I will also talk about in a second. And I again click on continue. And then we get to the results display. And this is something that is maybe a bit different in Ovid than in PubMed, but we always have the history that is shown on top. And we see here now we get these 66,197 hits. If we scroll down, there starts a big list with these many, many hits that we get. They are on several pages, on many pages actually, because there are so many hits. And you can see here the search number 1, and you see also how this has been searched. Let's do that again. So let's go again, searching for dementia, searching, we get here. And now we would like to talk about this option here. This is the auto explode option that we have ticked here. And I would just like to show you again what is meant with this by again clicking on into the mesh structure. So I've talked about the lower hierarchy terms. And if we click on explode here, so this is this column here, if we tick that box, we get this auto explode, what we had before also. I'm sorry. And auto explode means that all the lower hierarchy terms are going to be co-searched. So one of them is particularly prominent, and this is Alzheimer's disease. So Alzheimer's disease is a lower hierarchy term, and it gives more hits than the mesh term dementia, right? So if I go for auto explode, for this explode functions, I can again press continue, again continue. And now we have the search number 2, where we have plenty of more hits than with the search before. And you can also see the syntax of the search is that it's actually this exploded is just an EXP before dementia slash. And let's do a third search in order to finish this up. Again, taking the same route. And I'm going into the mesh structure. So let's say we actually do not only want dementia, but we also do not want all of them. But we're actually not interested in AIDS dementia, so we're interested in Alzheimer's and maybe in Lewy body disease. So those are the dementias that we're interested in, and not the other ones that are particularly specific. And we can also do the search like this. So I press on continue. And you can see that Ovid now searches specifically for these subject headings and combines them with Boolean ORs. I've shown you the way of using or of typing just terms in here into the query box, having that box ticked, and this is going to bring us to the mesh pages. You also have the possibility of searching directly with the correct syntax. And this is now just a very quick demonstration. So I can also just paste something in here like this with the correct syntax and press search. And then I am not going to go through these mesh term pages, but then Ovid kind of understands, this searcher already exactly knows what he or she wants. He wants the exploded mesh term dementia, and then it directly searches that. And the search number 4 and number 2, this is exactly equivalent, right? Okay, that was the first part of the demo, and I would like to show you possibilities to narrow the scope of your search. And the number 1 possibility to narrow a search I have already demonstrated. You have seen that in this subject heading tree or the mesh tree, we have with only dementia / we have searched only for dementia, but not for the lower hierarchy terms. Or we have had the possibility to auto-explode, and this means that all of the lower hierarchy terms would have been co-searched. Now, there are also other possibilities of narrowing the scope, and one of these possibilities is called focus. So it is possible to search for the mesh term dementia, and then to say, okay, we want to auto-explode, that's fine, but we would also like to focus. And focus means that it's only going to retrieve literature where the mesh term dementia has been added, or Alzheimer's disease, or one of the lower hierarchy terms, right? But it has been defined as the focus of the study or the major topic. I think in the PubMed platform, it's called major topic. So major topic and focus in Ovid, this is exactly the same. Now, if I now press continue, again, continue, you see that the syntax changed a little bit just by this little asterisk. So this little asterisk means focus. And what you can see is that I retrieve less hits, right? So I do not retrieve the hits that are indexed with the mesh term dementia, but where dementia is not the major topic or not the focus of the study. So that was focus, here symbolized with this exclamation mark. And then finally, we have the subheadings as a neat possibility to narrow the scope of a search. Now, I have graphically depicted this here like pieces of a pie, okay? So let's say we're only interested in the dark red piece of the pie of these subject headings, right? And this dark red piece of the pie would, for instance, be prevention and control, okay? So as a searcher, I'm interested in papers that say something about prevention and control of dementia. Okay, this is what I'm interested in. So how would I do that? I would add dementia and search for that. I'm this time not pressing the focus, but the auto explode is fine. And then on this screen where we have always press continue before, we are now selecting one of the subheadings, and this was prevention control. So I can tick here prevention control. I could also tick several of them. You see there is nursing of dementia or etiology of dementia, genetics of dementia, and so on, whatever. But we're now interested in prevention and control. And if I then press continue, I get only a stop part of the literature that is indexed with the mesh term dementia. Okay, that's how these narrowing tricks work. And with this, I would actually like to give you some time to go to the Ovid platform yourself and search for animal-assisted therapy and for psychomotor agitation. Look for mesh terms if they are there, and have a look at how to search with these mesh terms. Okay, I will now stop my microphone and give you maybe 5 or 10 minutes of time, and then we will kick in again. Okay. Okay, I'm back. I hope you have had success in finding these mesh terms. I am only going to demonstrate this for animal-assisted therapy. So I can type that into the search field and search. And then I do find the mesh term animal-assisted therapy. If I look at the structure of the mesh thesaurus, I see that equine-assisted therapy, or some people call this hippotherapy, is actually a lower hierarchy term. So there is a single lower hierarchy term. And if I want to explode that, so include the, oops, now I pressed the wrong button. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Now I did a mistake. I actually wanted to have this here. Now, and I wanted to press continue without subheadings. Then I get these 911 hits with the mesh term animal-assisted therapy, including hippotherapy, which is a lower hierarchy term. Okay, so this is searching with subject headings. And we will now turn in part number 4 into searching in the title and abstract field. So for this, we are now going to need these synonyms that I have prepared in this table. And I am going to actually focus now on the animal-assisted therapy part. Okay, so on the intervention concept. So again, you have two possibilities how to search with title abstract fields. One of them is to switch away from the advanced search to the search fields tab. And in the search fields tab, you have here different so-called search fields. And what we want is we don't want to search in all fields, but as I said, we want to search in abstract, and we want to search in title, which I quickly have to search for. Actually, here, title. So we want to have title and abstract, and we're going to search for animal-assisted therapy, and I press search. Now this brings me to search number 8 here. Search number 8 searches in title and abstract for animal-assisted therapy, and it gives me 381 hits. Now, again, you don't need to go into the search fields, but you can do all of this in the advanced search. And this is as long as you know the syntax code for these two fields, title and abstract. And this is basically just, I'm now going to copy this from the history and put it in here. So, and this is how, to be honest, I always search like that. So I never go into the search field and I tick boxes there, but I only add the search fields like that. So it's a point, AB, comma, TI point. So this means abstract and title field. And if you search like this is exactly the same. So you can see search number 8 and search number 9. This is equivalent. Okay. Now let's do a little bit of development with animal-assisted therapy, because this is not the only relevant word how to search for. And let's go a little bit further. For instance, let's include plural forms, and you can do this by an asterisk. Okay, so we would search for animal-assisted therapies also, and search for that. And you see this already increases the number of hits a little bit. And then we also had as a synonym, I'll copy this over again here, and let's maybe add some synonyms with Boolean ORs, remember? So I'm going to add a bracket around here, and I'm going to add a Boolean OR, and then I say, well, there was PET facilitated therapy, something like that. Okay, so this is a synonym, and if we search for this, you can see we again get a little increase in the hits. So if we add synonyms, and let's maybe add the last synonym that we also had in the table, and that was, remember, that was hippotherapy. And remember, we also, maybe also with an asterisk, so also to have the plural form. And if we have the hippotherapy, this gives quite a significant. So hippotherapy seems to be a very important text word and also a very popular form of animal-assisted therapy. And remember, it was also a lower hierarchy term, so a term by itself below animal-assisted therapy. Now I'm going to copy this over again because I would actually like to change that a bit. Now, maybe you see that yourself as an information specialist, you see that immediately, that animal-assisted therapy and pet-facilitated therapy, there are many different options to search for this, because there is also the combination animal-facilitated therapy, or there might be animal-assisted intervention, for instance, or pet-facilitated intervention, or pet-assisted intervention, and so on. And for these combinatorial, these rich combinatorial possibilities, I am now going to change the structure of these multi-word or terms that are composed of several words, right? So I am going to actually delete all of this here, and I am going to build up a structure where we can then also supplement further terms very easily. You will see. Let's build that together. And for this, I would actually like to introduce you to the so-called proximity operators. Now, proximity operators are something like and or. So those are Boolean operators, but they do something different. And this I am going to show you in the PowerPoint. And actually, I just remember that I forgot to mention that whenever you see this slide here, this live demo slide, I have actually tried to assemble all the screenshots of what I'm showing you into the handout. And the handout is this PowerPoint file. And after the last slide, there are all of these screenshots of these live sessions. So for you to have that at hand and for you to remember what I did and what I showed. Okay, and this slide here is the documentation of these adjacency operators, of this ADJ-N operators. So ADJ is a positional operator that lets you retrieve records that contain your terms within a specified number of words. And so that means, and maybe let's go to the next paragraph, I only add ADJ, this operator finds two terms next to each other in the specified order. Okay, and let's quickly switch back, and I would like to change that animal assisted or animal facilitated or pet facilitated or pet assisted. I would like to change this into such an ADJ combination. And I'm going to do this like this. So I'm going to add a bracket. Actually, I'm going to add a bracket structure like this. Let me quickly highlight that. And in this bracketed structure, this one, I have now one bracket in before the ADJ. I have one bracket after the ADJ, and then I have a bracket that surrounds it. Okay? And in the bracket before the ADJ, I would now add animal or pet. Okay? And in the bracket after the ADJ, I will add assisted or facilitated. Okay? So that means I have now all 4 combinations in a relatively short term. So I have animal assisted, so in the same order, just next to each other. I have pet assisted, pet facilitated, or animal facilitated. Okay? Now, this is only the first part of the story. And the second part of the story, I would actually like to use one of these numbers. So n can be replaced by any number. And this number actually defines how many words are in between these 2 words, or within how many words these 2 words before and after are. So that means I am now going to add here, for instance, ADJ3. So this would have to be within 3 words, and therapy or therap with an asterisk. Okay. So that means this is going to include animal-assisted therapy. Okay, but it's also going to include therapy in an animal-assisted setting, for instance. So if the 2 words are not like this, but like this, right? So that's a combination that is going to retrieve many possibilities. And if I search now with this, you will see, oh, actually I can just press search. You will see that we get more hits, right? And this is because we cover more possibilities of how these words can be put together. And what we can, for instance, now also add in a very easy way is we could say, well, there was also animal-assisted intervention, right? And now instead of having to write many new phrases, what I can do is I can just set a bracket around last element of this ADJ construct. And I can here add or intervention. Okay, with an asterisk. And then I can search. And you see this again gives me more hit, and it gives me a more holistic retrieval of the different publications that are about animal-assisted therapy. Okay, so this was to introduce to you the ADJ operators, and this was at the same time to introduce to you how to search in the title and abstract fields in Ovid. Okay. And with this, I switch back to the PowerPoint, and we go to part number 5, building a search strategy in Ovid or in Microsoft Word. So these are the 2 possibilities that I am introducing to you, but I am only going to demonstrate the left part, so the combination in Ovid. But having said that, I would like to tell you that when I work for myself, I always work in a Word file when I compose search strategies. So I would copy these search terms into a Word file and then write a Boolean and in between where I want an and in between. And I would compose a whole search string in a Word file. And I think this is a very neat way of doing that because you can also, I mean, you have the documentation right at hand because you have that Word file saved somewhere on your computer. Okay, but for now, I'm going to demonstrate you the building of a search strategy in Ovid. And we have here searches 11, 12, 13, and 14, but this is just because Ovid shrinks that together, and you can just press here the expand in order to see the whole history. And what I would like to combine now is I would like to combine my search number 14. So remember that was the search where we in quite a sophisticated way combine different combinations for animal-assisted therapy. And now I would like to combine that with search number 7. Okay, and search number 7 is the mesh term for animal-assisted therapy, together with the lower hierarchy hippotherapy or equine-assisted therapy. Okay, and let's search for that. And I do that by just pressing combine with OR. Okay, I want to OR these two searches together. And you can see that this now, and this is always the case, when you combine title abstract searches with mesh searches, you always get more hits than with either of the two combinations. Okay, so they always add up to each other. And remember, I've shown you this on the slide where I've shown you this is what we're heading at. We're heading at combinations of subject headings in Medline mesh terms and title abstract searches. And this gives us a full or a comprehensive coverage of the literature. So this is what I've done now. But what we can also do is when we are so far and have that combination in search number 15 is, well, we could add some search terms, okay? So for instance, we could add to animal or pet, we could add different possibilities, like for instance, equine-assisted therapy or something like that. And in order to do that, we could run new searches, but what we can also do is we could say over here with these more commands, we could press here the command edit, okay? And if we go for edit, we can now edit these searches. We have here again the whole search history. And I would like now to edit and supplement search number 14. And then I press this little pen here. And then I can actually now add things to edit to this search. And so what I would like to add is equine assisted therapy. I would also like to add dog assisted therapy, cat assisted therapy. Okay, this now gives us a possibility of how to optimize that. And I did some preparatory work for that, just in order to look at what could be done. So we could add intervention. We already added this. We have here pet, cat, dog, a horse we could still add. And then, yeah, whatever. There are different, there is also another mesh term that is called therapy animals. Maybe we should also add this one. And maybe the acronym AAT for retrieval. And okay, so let's go here into horse. And then we said we would like to add the acronym AAT, and then I press OK. And you can see that this search number 14 has now been supplemented. And maybe to add another mesh term, maybe I could get here to search number 7. Then I press the little pen, and I add here or therapy animals slash. So I would like to add that second mesh term that is, of course, also relevant for this search. Okay. And I confirm that with OK. So that's editing searches. And now we can just press run search. And now Ovid has to work a little bit because it has to run these searches. But you can see we now get way more hits because we have added. Actually, there has been a real boost in numbers. And this boost doesn't come from number 7. So here we're still at 900. But by adding these additional terms, we got many, many more hits. Now, I would, as an information specialist, suspect this boost in terms, remember, we were at about 1,400 or something before. And this boost must have been maybe because of this acronym AAT. So I would like to test that and go back to edit and change that again and maybe remove the acronym AAT. Okay, and let's just see if I was correct in hypothesizing. And that's how you can work on your strategy in the Ovid platform. Yes, you can see AAT produced a vast background. And this is usually just noise. You know, if you add an acronym and you get like 4 times as many hits, then you usually know, oops, this is in most cases, this was not animal-assisted therapy, but this was something completely else that we now just added to search. Okay, like this, you can combine and build your search strategies and also optimize your search strategies within the Ovid platform. And I'm repeating myself, you can also do all of that in a Word file and then just paste the new string just into the search field and hit search, and then you will also see how many hits you get upon modification of the string. Okay, so that was that live demo. And now I would actually like to have that projected to you and again give you like 10 minutes time to also now cover the concepts of dementia, Alzheimer's, senile forgetfulness, and agitation, restlessness, and hyperactivity. Search for these with the text words. Maybe you have already searched with mesh terms, and then try to combine these searches for yourself. And for this, I am giving you 10 minutes of time, and I will be back after these 10 minutes. Okay? Hello, I am back. I would like to do a super quick demo of what you have now hopefully tried and achieved on your own computers. So I am going back here into the search history, where my search number 15 now is the animal-assisted therapy concept. And I would like now to search for the words for the dementia concept. So I'm adding dementia or Alzheimer, or there was senile forgetfulness. And I'm searching for this. So these are the text words, and I would like to combine these with my mesh search for the mesh term dementia. I would like to combine them with or. And then finally, there is the agitation mesh term, exactly the psychomotor agitation, auto explode. So I have this mesh term, and then I search for agitation or restlessness or hyperactivity. Synonyms. I'm going to search for this. Then I'm going to combine these two searches with or. And now finally, so these are now the three single concepts. And finally, I would like to combine this one, and the animal-assisted therapy one with and. And this in the end gives me 26 hits that I get that would cover the literature that I am looking for. Now that was a very quick demonstration how you can build up such a search strategy in Ovid. And next we turn to the limits. So applying database limits, and it is possible to add such limits during the searching or to adding them to completed searches. Let's quickly add them to completed searches. Let's say I would look for reviews on animal-assisted therapy. Let's just skip the dementia and whatever. So I could say here, you see one of the searches is always highlighted in light blue. And this is usually the lowest one, but I could now say I'm interested in search number 15, and I'm going to press here display results. And you can see now, if I scroll up again into history, now number 15 is highlighted in light blue. And I could now go here to the limits, and I would say I am interested in review articles of that search, and I press search. And now I get 239 review articles, and I get here the prompt limit 15 to review articles. Okay. What you can also do is you can also run a search and at the same time ask for review articles. So what I could do is, for instance, I could, whatever, let's take this search here, agitation, restlessness. So I put that into the search field. And now before I run the search, I actually press on the limit review articles, and then I search. And this will give me the same, right? It will limit the, it will run the search. That's the search number 23. And then it will say in the same go limit 23 to review articles, and it will show me only the review articles. Then this can also be done with additional limits. So there are these limits here where you can limit to publication year, humans, and whatever. But you could also here press on additional limits, and then you get down here many, many different limits like clinical queries and status and publication types and so on. So you can add many, many different limits in Ovid and do the same thing using these limits. Okay, that was the live demo on limits. That's the screenshot on the additional limits that you can find and that you have in your hand. Now, with number 7, we are turning away from Medline. So far, we have searched Medline via Ovid, okay? But as I was introducing in the beginning, in Ovid, you can also search other databases. And to transfer this Medline search into other databases, I will now show you this live demo. So we have here 24 searches that we have added up. Maybe I'm going just for, in order to be mathematic, I'm going to delete some of them. Maybe these, the ones that are not that essential. This is to save computing time, actually. So going to delete these. Let's remove that, and then we have a little bit more concise history here, okay? And now if I want to change the database, so the database is indicated here, right? So we're in Ovid Medline all up to December 10. And we can, and this is one resource that is selected. So if I press on the command change, then I get this window that you have already seen as a screenshot before, okay? And we would now like to search for these searches. Maybe I'm going to close that again. Maybe let's remember that number 26 here, okay? So that number 26 is what we found in Medline. And now we change and we press here Embase. So we would like to switch over to Embase. And now I have here 2 dark blue commands. If I press continue, I will just get an empty search platform in the Embase database. So we will start like we started in Medline with an empty history. I'm not interested in that now, but now for demonstration purposes, I would like to press the command run search. Now this might take a couple of seconds, but this run search command is going to, no, it's not so long. I press here on expand again. And this is now running the whole search history that I have here in the history now in Embase. You see one resource is now selected, but it's no longer Medline, but it's Embase. And what you can also see is that in Embase, I get 46 hits, okay? So before we had 26, now we get 46. So Embase is a larger database than Medline, so that makes sense, okay? That's how you can change the resource. And that's already all for that part. Now, but there is a complication in changing database. And I have added this here to the PowerPoint. So the transfer of pre-made search strategies into other databases via change resources. This is what I've just done now, okay? But this does not automatically adapt the subject headings. And remember, in the introduction, I told you these subject headings are database specific. Okay, so what we did now here is we just added, so I'm having subject headings here, I'm having subject headings here, okay, here. And I don't remember the subject headings of Embase are entry terms and not mesh terms. And we don't know if these terms that we added here, if they are also entry terms, or maybe if entry harbors additional entry terms that are not contained here within our search strategy. So all of this is not automatically adapted. It just takes the search string that you have in Medline, for instance, and when you then change resource, it just runs these searches on the new resource. Okay, that's what it does, but it doesn't change the subject. Now, subject headings from different databases may differ in their level of detail and hierarchical structure. So that's very important. They are not structured all in the same way. And usually, for instance, if you examine a pharmacological substance, you can expect that M3 is way more detailed than the mesh subject heading catalog. Okay, so if you're having a pharmacological research question, it might make sense, or I mean, it makes sense in any case, but it might be likely that in M3 you will find more granular structure in these subject headings. Maybe you get more specific terms and you would like to switch to the more specific ones. And in mesh, they are just not available. Okay, so it always makes sense to have a look at these subject heading catalogs. And you would do this exactly the same. I am not going to do this now for every subject heading, but maybe let's quickly have a look at animal-assisted therapy. Remember, we are now in Embase, okay? So if I now go via this way, via this map term to subject heading, I am not going to the mesh subject headings, but I'm going to the M3 subject headings. And luckily, M3 does harbor animal-assisted therapy. Let's quickly look into this. Now, here we already have a different appearance, okay? And we have lower hierarchy terms. So these are here called narrower terms. And these narrower terms are hippotherapy. Now in mesh, it was equine assisted therapy. So that's more or less the same, okay? But it's another term. But we also have pet therapy. So pet therapy is an additional term that exists in the M3 subject heading catalog that does not exist in the mesh catalog. So it makes sense if you switch to a new database to also explore the subject headings of all new databases that you add and to change accordingly in the search terms where you are searching the subject headings like mesh or M3 or PsycInfo headings. Okay. Now the same is true for so if you look for psychological disorders, you can expect that these psychological disorders are way more in a way more detailed way. They are indexed in the PsycInfo subject headings than, for instance, in the mesh disorders. Okay, so it does make sense, and this is also what is the basis for the complementary nature of these different databases. Okay. So we are not going to do that, but I would like now to change all the subject headings. This would take a little bit too much time for this meeting here, but it is important that you're aware of the subject headings are not being automatically adapted. Okay, And with this, we turn to multi-database searches. And the first lesson, if you go for multi-database searching, is also connected to the subject headings. Multi-database searches should list the relevant subject headings from all databases and combine them with Boolean ORs. So if we have whatever, let's take psychomotor agitation, okay? And in PsycInfo, for instance, we have like 3 mesh terms that are presented in a more granular way that are all relevant concerning psychomotor agitation. And those have different names. Maybe one is called, I don't know, restlessness, for instance. And if we have the PsycInfo term restlessness, then we should add it with an OR into the search strategy. And we will add mesh terms or relevant entry terms or relevant PsycInfo headings. We add them all into the same string. And then we can run the multi-database search in all the databases together. And this will then guarantee a comprehensive coverage from each of the different databases. Okay, so that's important to remember. And let me now show you how that works. And it's not very surprising. So here, when we have one resource selected, we will again press the change command. And now we will select Embase, Ovid, Medline, all, and APA PsycInfo. So we're now interested in these 3 databases. And again, I'm directly going to run the search. Okay, now it takes some seconds again because Ovid has to do all of this retrieval and calculation. But in the end, we will receive a history that I'm going to expand again. We're going to receive a history with my 10 searches. And this history is now based on searches in 3 resources. And we have the 3 resources here. We have Embase, Ovid, Medline, and APA PsycInfo. Okay, we now get 97 hits here. And if we open this tab here, we can actually see in Embase we got 46. We knew that before because we did the search. In Medline all, we get 26. We also knew this before. And in API PsycInfo, we got 25 hits. Okay. Now there is one problem with these 97 hits. And this problem is that these numbers here from the different databases, they might be overlapping, okay? Because some of the journals that are indexed in Medline are also indexed in Embase, actually most of them. And some of them might also be indexed in PsycInfo and vice versa, right? But some journals indexed in the different databases are unique. That's why the databases are going to be complementary to each other. But what we need from a multi-database search is we need to deduplicate the results. Now, in the framework of a systematic review, you usually do that after retrieving the results from different databases. So you would do a search in Embase, you would do a search, and then you download the results. You do a search in Medline, you download the result. And you do a search in PsycInfo and you download the results. And after that, you're going for deduplication, right? Now in Ovid, you have the possibility, if all of your databases are running in Ovid, you can do this deduplication before download of the result. And this is a very neat feature. And maybe you have realized that there is this command, deduplicate, that appeared as soon as more than one resource is selected down here. So then you get deduplicate here. And if I press that command, I get to this to this window, and you can see that we have the choice to deduplicate some, but not all of the searches in the search history. And the reason for this is very simple. And the reason for this is the maximum number that can be deduplicated, or where Ovid offers a deduplication, is 6,000. Okay, so 6,000 is the maximum. But usually for your final search, you are not going to be above 6,000. But if you are, then you have bad luck, because then you have to do the deduplication in another way. So you can see every search in the search history, like 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, that have more results than 6,000. Here we do not have deduplication available, but we have it for the ones where the number is below. Okay, because all of these results here have been obtained from PsycInfo, Embase, and Medline. So from all three. Okay. Now, what we would like to do is we would just like to deduplicate search number 10, because this is our final search that we're interested in downloading. Okay. And now we have some deduping preferences. And one of the preferences is has abstract, and I think that's a very reasonable preference. So let's say you have 3 records, or maybe 2 records, one of PsycInfo and one Embase. And but maybe the one in PsycInfo doesn't have an abstract for whatever reason, then it would prefer an Embase record. And since usually later on you're going to screen the titles and abstracts, it really makes sense you have an abstract. Okay, then you can here also change the database preferences. So this would basically mean when you have 2 records of the same, should I take the Embase record first or the APA PsycInfo? So that's like a second preference rule. First is the abstract rule, right? If it has an abstract. Or you could also change that to no field preferences. So that's the deduplication preferences. And that's basically all of it. And by the way, if you cannot remember the number of 6,000, it says that up here, right? So sets which contain more than 6,000 hits cannot be deduped. So that's up here. But now we are ready for deduplication, and we press the continue button. And we get now a search number 11. And the search number 11 is called remove duplicates from 10. And you can see that we have 57 unique hits. And if we open that up now, is we see that most of them are from Embase. We actually had Embase in the preferences, right? That Embase should be chosen first. Then we get 3 additional ones that we only retrieved from Medline. Now, Embase and Medline are usually very close, but this depends on the search topic. Sometimes you get even more hits from Medline than from Embase, so that depends. And from PsycInfo also we got 9 additional hits. Now these 12 hits that we get in addition to the Embase hits, these are the hits that you might, that make up like a systematic search. Like in a systematic review, you search different databases, more than one, and you also get better retrieval and more hits. Okay. There is also something like review the duplicates. Now, this is possible to actually also get into the decisions that Ovid did, like I removed this one and not this one, and you can change that. Let's just quickly have a look at that, but I would usually not bother about this, to be honest. And the reason for this is, I mean, the issue of deduplicating search results is usually that you have metadata, like improper metadata, like mistakes in the metadata or missing metadata or stuff like that, or differences in the structure of metadata. Now here in Ovid, since everything has been prepared and validated in the same platform, this problem is usually a minor one. So when Ovid PsycInfo and Ovid Medline are deduplicated against each other, these two data sets will have the same structure, have been curated the same way, and usually the deduplication I would consider trustworthy. But let's have a look at review the duplicates. So this is what you can do here. We have here this hit number 1, animal-assisted intervention and agitation in patients with dementia. And we have that here from PsycInfo. We also have it from Medline, and we have it from Embase. For whatever reason, it has not been taken from Embase, maybe because this doesn't have an abstract. I don't know. But it has chosen the PsycInfo record. And then we have the next one, and you see it there chose the one from PsycInfo and not the one from Medline. Now, if for whatever reason I would like to change that, I can here untick the box and tick this one. But I'm repeating myself. I would personally not bother about this and would just let it go. But you have the possibility of reviewing the duplicates. Okay, so that's how a multi-database search is working in Ovid. Just remember, again, repeating myself, the subject headings of all databases should be added into the search strategies, right? So we did here a shortcut, right? Because we have just added the mesh terms, and we have not really checked the M3 terms, and we have not really checked the PsycInfo headings for reasons of time. But we should have done that, and maybe we would have retrieved more hits than what we did if we had done that properly. Okay. Yeah, and this I've already told you, but you also have this in your handout. The deduplication feature is only available for result sets that have less than 6,000. Okay. And with this, I would like to show you how to export the results to literature management software. And in this case, we are basically interested in this search number 11, so in the deduplicated search and in these 57 hits. But again, I could also export something else. It would be possible now to say here, display the results of this search number 3, for instance, or 4, and then I could download all of these search results. That's also possible. Okay, but now we have that 57 hits. If I scroll down, I start seeing these hits. So it starts with 1, 2, 3, and so on. I think it displays until 10, and then it shows me that there are more pages, right? This is the number of records per page, and I could go to the next page and to the next page here. Okay. Now to export the results, I am going to, you can either here select all, or what you can also do is define a range, 1 to 57 or something like that. I think in this case, it would not matter which one. And then I can press here on the export command. Now this export prompt opens. It tells me I have 57 records selected. And now which format would you like? So I don't want Microsoft Word. Now I personally would use here EndNote, but if you use other reference managers, or if you would like to export these records as a RIS file, that's basically a text file that can then be imported into your reference managers. You can also select RIS here. I would like EndNote for my case. And then I would, now this is really important, at least the abstract you should have in, but I would actually here recommend to retrieve the complete reference with all the metadata that's available. which you also want to download in your reference manager. And then you click export. And now in my case, this opens a file in my download folder here that is called Ovid Web. And this file I could now, for instance, open with EndNote or whatever. I could save it to my records and I have it. So that's the export feature of Ovid. I think there was something else I wanted to say about exporting, but now I forgot. No, I think that's about it. Okay. So that was the live demo, and I would like to thank you for your attention. I hope that I have, or that this presentation has helped you to, in the future, use Ovid. What I would ask you to do is to fill in this emphasis feedback form. You can either do this with your smartphone and scan the QR code, or maybe you would like to copy this, this URL, and this will bring you just to a couple of feedback questions that we usually collect. And I would like to drive your attention to systematicreviews.unibus.ch. So that's our service website where you can learn which services you can ask for from our systematic review team. And this is my email. You can, of course, also contact me by email if you have more specific questions.